Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Coming up at 1 o'clock, we'll bring you a Provincial Wildfire update live on our website and our YouTube page. Up first here on the show, the Vancouver Canucks played a thrilling game last night, winning the game with just seconds left. How was the atmosphere where you watched? And do you care to share your prediction for Game 6? Later on, whether it's hiking or playing a rec sport, what keeps you motivated to stay active? I'm Michelle Elliott. Welcome to BC Today. Thank you for joining us on CBC Radio 1. We're also on CBC Television and live streaming on the CBC News app, cbc.ca/BC, and on the CBC Vancouver YouTube page. And that is where you can watch us. Coming up in just under an hour at 1 o'clock, the Provincial Emergency Climate Planning, Bowen Ma, the minister, is going to hold a news conference giving an update on the BC wildfires. And she'll be joined by officials from the BC Wildfire Service, as well as other experts. And so we'll bring you the latest then on what's happening with the fires in the northeast of our province. Right now, you can call us on our top story. Where did you watch the Canucks game last night? What was the atmosphere like, especially in those last 30 seconds or so? What's your prediction for Game 6 tomorrow? 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your email, on your cell phone rather, but you can email us bctoday@cbc.ca. And yes, so the Canucks are leading their second round series 3-1 over the Edmonton Oilers after last night's heart-stopping goal from the Canucks' JT Miller.
Here's Lindholm looking to shoot at the post. JT Miller scores!
Now, last night's win has only upped the stakes in the Stanley Cup's Western Conference Final. So that was the game-winning goal from JT Miller with just 33 seconds to go. I just can imagine what the atmosphere was like, right? You've seen the footage of all the towels, the white towels being waved in the air. What if you were an Oiler fan? Oh my goodness, how deflating that must have been. Tell us where you were last night when you saw that goal and what the atmosphere was like where you were. Was it at someone's house, at your house? I was listening at the gym. Or were you at a viewing party somewhere? You can give us a call, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, pound 690 on your cell phone. You can also email bctoday@cbc.ca. And yes, if you want to give your predictions for tomorrow night, you can let us know too. Now, while the Canucks won due to goals from Miller alongside new father Phil Di Giuseppe, Alberta-born defenseman Carson Soucy, now the Canucks back up to the backup goaltender Arturs Shelovs made his 8th start, making 21 saves. And Canucks fans have rallied around the 23-year-old goalie. For Shelovs, though, it's not the first time he's faced pressure. He previously played for his home country of Latvia, where he led the team to a bronze medal victory against the United States in the 2023 IIHF World Championship. Now, to talk about that Latvian connection, we are joined now by BC's Latvian honorary consul, Eric Savics, and he's been good enough to come to our studio. Hello, Eric.
Hello, Michelle.
How are you feeling today?
Well, I was at the game last night, so like everyone else, elated that it went on so successfully.
So everyone's talking about JT Miller's goal, but I mean, in your view, is Shelovs a true hero here?
Well, he is, because it often happens in hockey. Someone comes forward and starts to change the game, and goalies usually have the most pressure.
They sure do. There is a lot on their shoulders, and it's so much, I've heard this time and again, it's a mental game when you're the goalie, right? So what was it like for you? I can't imagine what it was like for him to hear, I'm going to have to step up. Thatcher Demko is injured, and then Casey DeSmith is injured. Okay, I'm being put in by the coach. What do you think that was like for him? What was it like for you?
It was great fun for me, but you're exactly right. This is a third string goalie, but he's had that experience of the success in Europe to be playing for his country in Europe and succeeding there. So it's a wonderful step.
And she sure has stepped up and shown, hasn't he?
Indeed.
What are some of the best moments for you?
Well, I think just the victory, but the aspect that he comes out, he gets such support from his teammates. You're fitting into a most important role, as they say, and I think that's really what's wonderful to watch.
Can you give me a sense of how big a hometown hero he is in Latvia?
There's a big time difference, obviously, to Northern Europe, but people are following it avidly. Latvia is a very small country, just the size of the population of Vancouver itself, and they're terrific hockey fans. They follow it everywhere. They're right now in Sweden because of the international games going on, and there's a select team there, which would be an equivalent of an all-star team, playing right now in Sweden.
Yeah, and what's the reaction been like?
Well, so literally streets full of people who are waving. What I'm waiting to see somebody with his jersey number and his name in a Canucks jersey on the streets of Riga.
Yeah, exactly. Someone calling over, can you send me one? Can you send me one? And what about for the community here, Eric?
Well, I think it's the same as they say. For a small country, whether it's Alona playing tennis in the French Open, whether it's Gobis #4 in tennis in the world, it's greatly followed as you would any local hero.
Yeah, absolutely. My guess is Eric Savics. He is the BC Latvian honorary consul. And of course, a lot of pride right now for our goalie here. She loves because his roots are in Latvia, of course. And so the community here is rallying behind him, as are all Canucks fans. And he is certainly stepping up to the challenge and facing that pressure. Well, we're asking you, so where were you last night? Where did you watch the game and that thrilling win by the Canucks, 3-2 in the end? And let us know what the atmosphere was like where you were. And if you have any predictions for Game 6, we'd love to hear from you as well. A lot of people are throwing things around. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Jess is joining us from Kamloops. Hi, Jess.
Hi.
Hi. You were in Vancouver last night, though.
Yeah, we came into the game.
Okay. And pardon me, Jess, I think are you driving right now?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. I'm just having a little bit of trouble hearing you. But so you were at the game.
Yeah, we were in the upper bowl. It was just unreal.
Was it unreal?
Yeah.
Yes. Would you mind, Jess, just getting off the speakerphone? You're not driving, are you? Yourself?
No, not me. Is this better?
It's much, much better. Okay, now we can hear you loud and clear. Okay, so you're with your dad, are you?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so why did you want to come down to watch the game?
Well, we're both really big Canucks fans. He's been a Canucks fan for years and years. And he just really wanted to see how it turns out.
Uh-huh. And so you were in the upper bowl last night. Can you take us there? What did it sound like?
It was really loud, but it was a really good little section. Everyone seemed nice. J.T. Miller.
Cheery for Pettersson at the top there as well at the start, right?
Yeah. It was loud.
It was loud. Okay, and so what was it like at the end? And so they're tied, and it looks like they might go into overtime. And what was that like? Was there kind of a hush? Were people nervous?
Everyone was on edge. I don't think anyone really wanted it to go into overtime, but seeing that score right nearing the end was just incredible. Everyone was so excited.
How did you feel?
I felt great because I really wanted to beat the Oilers. It was nice. It was awesome.
Why did you really want to beat the Oilers?
Well, I'm not a huge Oilers fan, and also I'm a huge Canucks fan, and I think we have a good chance of winning the Cup this year. I
should mention, I believe you're 12 years old, are you, Jess?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, a young Canucks fan with her dad. You've got some approval here from our guest, Eric Savics. Okay, so you're heading home to Kamloops, are you?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. What are your plans for tomorrow for Game 6?
Well, I won't be watching, so I'll be at my mom's house and we don't have PVR, but my dad, he will be watching and cheering.
Okay, you'll wait for the results?
Yeah, he'll tell me what happened.
Okay. Can we get your dad to give us another cheer there?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go, Canucks! One more win!
Just do it in 6, right?
Absolutely. They're going to do it in Edmonton tomorrow night.
Jess, thank you very much for the call, and say hello. Say thanks to your dad as well. Safe travels to you both.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Rob is next in Vancouver. Hi, Rob.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. And where did you watch the game last night?
Just at home, yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah, it was really fun and exciting when they scored that touchdown there just close to the end. Heard all my neighbors cheering about it. Yeah, I thought they had some really great layups throughout the game, and I think Game 6 is going to be really hard to predict. Up against the Eskimos there, it's probably going to come down to just a difference of one field goal or something like that. Hard to predict, but I think if our team
Are you okay? Are you
really does well on the free throws, then
okay? What about the Canucks there, Rob?
Thank you very much. Sports.
Okay, I think Rob was being a little facetious there, but it sounds like if he was serious with his point, he was saying his neighbors heard the game, or he heard his neighbors get excited there. I wanted to ask you, you shook your head a little bit there when Jesse said, we'll take it in 6, and you kind of went, oh, what do you think, Eric?
Well, at least these are two good teams.
Yes,
so
it's been so tight.
Exactly. So you see that in every game. So it's going to be the last goal that wins it.
Yeah. And what's going to make the difference, do you think, for the Canucks?
A bounce.
Yeah. Yeah, just like last night.
Yes.
A lucky bounce. But it's interesting to hearing their coach, right, Rick Tocchet, really be hard on them after Game 4 and singling out some players. Do you think that kind of made a difference?
That's a really good point. This is a coach that doesn't let things slide, and he's on top of his players, and he's expecting a lot from them, and that's why they're doing so well.
Yeah. And that was, I just thought of that too, because I can imagine, that's a little bit, that's some tough talk, but perhaps some tough love was what was needed. John is calling us in Vancouver. Are you calling to talk about the Vancouver Canucks, John?
I am.
I'm glad.
From Victoria.
Awesome. So where did you watch the game last night then?
From my hospital bed here in Victoria.
From your hospital bed in Victoria. Okay. So tell me about that. What was that experience like?
I can't describe it. I mean, the winning goal by Miller just put me over the top in the last 33 seconds of the game. And our family is a real Canucks family. And the interesting thing is, Michelle, I had said to my wife earlier when she came to visit me in the hospital at my Christmas gift, I wanted a Canucks jersey with the name Miller on the back, number 9, because I just wanted that would be my gift for this year. So anyway, last night, lo and behold, guess who scores the winning goal? JT Miller.
Yes.
And my initials are JC Miller.
Oh, wow.
So I thought you'd like that little tidbit of information.
That is really great. So you have a special kind of affinity for JT Miller.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, what was it like at the hospital? I mean, I imagine, were you the only one watching the game?
I was. It was quiet here.
Yeah.
Because I'm just recovering from some major surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to tell you, my kudos go for the coach. He is an amazing individual who can provide the leadership and drive for the team. He's just an amazing man. And the way he is factual, he is to the point, and he makes his his reasons known really quickly.
Sure does. And he calls players out if he doesn't feel they were present in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I would say you're a true fan, John. I mean, to watch from the hospital as you're recovering from surgery. Eric?
That's the best medicine, John.
Eric says that's the best medicine, John. I hope that you recover well and enjoy the rest of the series and hopefully the rest of the playoffs too, okay?
I will. And thank you very, very much for highlighting everything today.
Oh, wonderful. Very good to hear from you. That is John in Victoria. All the best. We're heading into a long weekend and people are traveling. We actually have someone calling in from the ferry lineup in Tsawwassen right now. Hi, Sheila.
Hi.
Hi. Are you heading back home from watching the game?
I am. Yeah, I'll be on the 1 o'clock ferry. I got in the lineup here at about 11, so it's a bit of a wait. I didn't have a reservation.
You didn't? Oh, how risky.
Yeah.
What ferry are you going to get on, do you think?
The 1 o'clock.
You will get on the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you called in just before hopping on the ferry. So tell me about what your experience was like last night.
I had the privilege of taking my 82-year-old mother to her first professional hockey game last night. And we had the best time. And, of course, the Canucks won. And we were in row 20 up behind the goal when Miller scored that goal. And it was just the most amazing thing.
What was that view like?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, the whole game was awesome. The people at the arena are awesome, so accommodating for my mom, who isn't very mobile. And a shout out to the two guys who traded seats with us because she was not able to walk down the steps to get to our seats. So they actually gave us their seats that were easily accessible for her. So really grateful to those guys.
Oh, that is so lovely.
It was an awesome night, just amazing.
What did your mom say?
Oh, she was just almost speechless, but cheering and able to stand up for that last goal and cheer on the Canucks. And yeah, it was just awesome.
You're just bringing delight to our guest here, Eric Savix. So where will you watch the game tomorrow, Sheila?
Well, I was actually just looking on my phone. I live in Souk, so I'll be watching probably in the Prestige Sports Bar. Hopefully I can get a place there because I don't actually have a TV, so I need to go somewhere to watch the game.
Yeah, well, enjoy. Any predictions?
Well, Canucks are going to win for sure.
Well, there you go.
100%.
But of course.
Yeah.
Sheila, have a wonderful trip home and say hello to your mom.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
How are you feeling after hearing all of that, Eric?
Well, it's encouraging. That's the kind of support we want.
That's the kind of support we want. That's the kind of support that we've been seeing. And you know what I love too is that the atmosphere seemed to have been very kind and accommodating and giving, and that's what we like to see among our fans as we head into these playoffs. What are you going to be watching for?
For the game, the next game. Well, I hope more of the same. The way they move the puck around, the discipline that they have, the goaltending that they have, obviously.
Yes, of course.
So all of those things. But it'd be great to win it now rather than come back for the risk of that seventh game.
And move on. So great to have you with us. Thanks for sharing your enthusiasm here on the show.
Pleasure.
That is BC's Latvian honorary consul, Eric Savix. And yes, the game tomorrow night, Game 6, 5 o'clock in Edmonton. This is BC Today. It's 12:24 now. Well, we are heading into the Victoria Day long weekend, and as we talked about yesterday, BC Wildfire Service is urging you to remain cautious about wildfires. There are bans on Category 2 and 3 fires, but no provincial ban on campfires. Yesterday, we heard from the fire chief in Whistler, where they have implemented a campfire ban. And we asked what your approach is going to be when it comes to camping right now in light of wildfire concerns. Terry writes, "We are in an unprecedented drought in a largely forested province. Please ban campfires. My home is one of many camping destinations." Frank writes, "Campfires in proper rings or rock pits are fine in all but the extreme dry conditions, when the campground staff patrol the campsite and carry a fire pump or more water to put out campfires if needed. If you ban campfires everywhere, the diehards will go into the bush and have bonfires. There are many homeless people who need a fire to cook food, and many fall asleep with the fire not out, so the solution is to give them a place to live." This email from Vancouver Island: ban campfires, more education as well. Furthermore, let's think bigger. Let's maintain a robust forestry industry. Jobs are important, but let's not deny the role they and the government have played. Government has to be stricter in enforcing how companies reforest land. So number one, do not replant with monoculture. This will ensure not only greater biodiversity, but also slow the spread of fires, as each species has different rates of burning. And immediate replanting before soil quality diminishes over time due to baking sun and dry weather. Furthermore, each municipality should do an audit on dead standing trees around neighborhoods and remove them. They serve as fuel. Thanks so much for all of your emails. Our address is bctoday@cbc.ca. Coming up at 1 p.m., BC officials will provide an update on the wildfire situation up north. You can watch that on YouTube at cbc.ca/BC and our FAST channel. We'll bring that to you live. And as we head into the unofficial start of summer, we are talking about staying physically active. We'll talk about that as well. And we're taking your calls, asking you whether you're training for a marathon or getting to the backyard to do some gardening. What motivates you to keep at it? And how would you motivate someone to get started? We'd love to hear from you. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, pound 690 on your cell phone. Well, we spoke with our story producer here, Alan Regan, on what keeps him going.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm glad we caught you here and not off on a run somewhere. Stay put for a little bit.
Stay still.
Well, tell us, this is so personal for you. What got you moving in the first place?
Well, it started when I got a little smartwatch, and it gives me these prompts every day to get moving. And so I discovered that I'm highly motivated by streaks. So 2 days in a row, 5 days in a row, 10 days in a row, that kind of thing. And I like setting records for myself. And my smartwatch has this feature called a move streak, where you set a target for how many active calories you want to burn every day, and then the watch tells you how many days in a row you've hit that target.
And have you hit that streak?
Yes, bit of a milestone recently. 2,000 days in a row.
Oh, wow. A streak, to say the least.
Yeah, it's. I wasn't expecting when I started off to hit quite that high, but I'm here now and I just have to keep going.
Did you know that was happening as it was going along?
Well, the good thing is, and this is where the little endorphin rush comes in, it tells you every single day, oh, you've hit your streak today. It's like, it keeps telling you every single day what number you've hit. So
right.
I knew that the 2,000 goal was getting close, and I thought, well, I gotta get that.
Well, yeah, that number just keeps growing. And okay, let's go back to, to the first day. How did this all start for you?
Well, it goes back all the way to October of 2018. And that was a time in my life when I was doing very little by way of exercise. And I figured, well, okay, November is coming up, new month, new me, all that. I'll try to hit my move target every single day for the month of November. And then I did. And then I got to the end of the month and I figured, well, it's been 30 days. Maybe I should try 31 and then 32. And it just kept going. Yeah.
Okay. So now you have 2,000. Mm-hmm. How have things changed for you? So you're motivated by the streak, but what about how do you feel?
I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And, I always feel better when I get out and move. And, now if there's ever a day where I'm thinking, I don't feel like it today. Well, I have this streak now.
Yes.
Keeps me going, so that motivation is there. And I should say, I'm not out doing 5Ks or anything like that, but what I am is someone who gets out, goes for a walk every day, goes to the gym a couple of times a week, just that little bit of movement every single day. And I suppose the achievement for me is that for a large part of my adult life, that really did feel out of reach.
Yeah. And now here you are, you're doing spin classes?
A couple of spin classes a week.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is nice.
That's a long way to go. Mm-hmm. But as you say, right, you don't run 5Ks, but even a walk in the rain can be daunting. So how does that work for you?
Well, I will freely admit that if there's, if it's been a really chill day and it's late in the evening and I'm looking at my watch and I'm thinking, oh, shoot, like I might not make this today, then, it might just be I shake around the living room a bit. Like for me, the important thing is just that I'm out and I'm moving in some way, shape or form, and I'm just kind of keeping my body active.
Yeah, no, that's true. Going up and down the stairs. When I do chores, I hit that little exercise button because I consider that exercise.
Exactly. Especially if there's like stuff burnt in, if you're washing dishes and, you really have to like get some elbow grease going. That's exercise.
Oh, that's a good bicep curl.
Totally.
Yeah. So you've hit 2,000 days. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you going to keep it going?
Yeah, that's the plan. And, I do accept at some point it has to end. It could be a hospital stay, who knows. But for now, that move streak is a big motivator for me. But the good news is, over the last 6 and a bit years, I've learned some other motivators along the way. I feel happier, I feel healthier, and I see the value of moving in a way that I didn't do before.
Yeah.
And of course, the privilege of being able to do that. So if the move streak does come to an end sometime, well, hopefully those other motivators will always still be there.
Are you saying we should implement dance classes before the show here for our team?
Yes, absolutely. Before and after the show. Let's get moving.
BC Today dance parties. It's happening. Ellen, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Michelle.
That is one of our story producers, Alan Regan. And we're going to talk about staying active and what motivates you coming up in our next half hour. Right now, it's time for a CBC News update. And here's Robert Zimmerman.
Good afternoon. Videos posted on Facebook show what appear to be several homes destroyed in the wildfire zone outside the northern community of Fort Nelson. The footage includes scenes of scorched vehicles and large structures reduced to gray ash. Mayor Rob Fraser has confirmed that the Parker Lake wildfire has damaged structures on rural properties outside the town. About 7,000 homes and businesses in the Lower Mainland and Sunshine Coast are still without power after last night's windstorm. The strong winds brought down trees and power lines. At the peak, about 35,000 customers were without electricity. And UBC's president has now responded to a series of demands by pro-Palestinian protesters, telling them the university must remain neutral on the Gaza conflict. Benoit Antoine Bacon says professors and students hold a broad range of opinions and the university cannot presume to speak for everyone. Bacon says if the university took a position, it would undermine the rights of people who hold different views to express themselves. And now the forecast. Environment Canada is warning about the possibility of snow along mountain passes, including sections of the Coquihalla, Highway 3 and Highway 97. On the north coast, cloudy this afternoon with a high of 9. Highs reaching 16 with some sunshine and smoke in the Peace. In the central interior, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 14. Highs from 9 to 14 and cloudy in the West Kootenay. Showers in the East Kootenay. In the southern interior, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of 14 as well. And for Metro Vancouver, Greater Victoria and the Fraser Valley, some sun and cloud this afternoon. Windy in some areas with highs around 17. That's your CBC News update from Vancouver.
So did your neighbors hear you cheering last night?
They may have, yes. I heard them. It was pretty exciting.
It really
I think
was.
Everybody was ready for overtime.
That's right.
But it didn't happen.
Yeah, everybody,
Super
kind
exciting.
of, not the best thing to go into overtime, but wow, 30 seconds left. I mean, it doesn't get any more thrilling than that.
It does not. They certainly deserved it. They dominated the game, I think, and got several, I would say, questionable calls against them. So I think they certainly deserved it.
It's interesting. It's interesting going on social media when those things happen because the commentary is just nonstop.
I have a tip. Don't go on social media.
Yeah, that's just life advice generally.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but Rob, enjoy the game tomorrow.
Sure.
Yeah, where are you going? You're going to
Oliver. Yes.
Oliver, yes.
For my sister's birthday, Jill. Happy
birthday,
again!
Jill.
Wow, 2 days in a row.
I know.
So I assume we'll be watching it during the birthday party.
Yeah. Well, enjoy. And we're talking about staying active. Actually, I know you're a big tennis player.
Yeah.
I have.
I was there this morning.
So
Fantastic.
I have 20 seconds. What gets you motivated to go to the court?
It's an addiction almost. I just feel so good when I do it, and it's beautiful. I play at Kitts Beach. It's beautiful down there. It's just fantastic. It's a fantastic way to start the day.
Yeah, it really is. Well, no wonder you're so chipper all the time.
Right. Sure. Imagine if I didn't play, Michelle, how grumpy I would be.
Get this man to the tennis court right now.
That's right.
Enjoy your trip to
Sure.
celebrate Jill's birthday.
Thanks.
That's Rob Zimmerman in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. Welcome back. This is BC Today here on CBC. This is CBC, and we're live on Radio 1, live streaming as well on the CBC News app, cbc.ca/BC, and on the CBC Vancouver YouTube page. You're with BC Today, and I'm Michelle Elliott. Very nice to have you with us. And this half hour, we are talking about staying active. You know, we're getting into the long weekend, the unofficial start to the summer, and so we're asking you, what gets you outside? What keeps you motivated to stay physically active? You know, whether it's, running, yoga, kayaking, weights in your living room, doing the dishes, whatever you're into, we want to hear what keeps you doing it another day. So you can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, and you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. You can also email bctoday@cbc.ca. And I know that we have lots of emails coming in already. In a few minutes, we'll speak actually with someone who runs an inclusive community fitness group in Vancouver. So we'll hear about that. First up, we have a guest who is an elite runner and climber, Sean Stevens-Whale, and he's motivated by wildlife preservation, for one thing. So get this, Sean's niche is running up tower stairs. In fact, he holds the record for climbing the CN Tower in Toronto at just under 10 minutes. And this is to raise money for the World Wildlife Fund. The event is called Climb for Nature, and it's coming to BC Place May 26th. Sean Stevens-Whale joins me now. Hello, Sean.
Michelle, thanks for having me.
Very good to have you with us. Can you describe this sport of climbing tower stairs?
Stair climbing is a very niche sport. It requires a certain amount of focus and determination. It's hard, lots of sweat, lots of breathing, but the reward is just making it to the top and being able to see what you've done once you get up there.
Does that top seem really, really far away when you start?
It can definitely be intimidating, yeah, especially on a building like the CN Tower. It's I think that's part of the appeal almost, though, is looking up and being like, okay, this is intense, but if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
Well, as you say, it is very niche. How did you get started?
So I was born with asthma, and I did struggle a bit as a younger kid just with regular exercise. So my parents really encouraged me to run. And I heard about an event called Climb the Wall with the BC Lung Association at the Sheridan Wall Center. And it was 48 floors up, and they're raising money for the BC Lung Association. So I thought it was a perfect fit for me. I gave it a go. I actually started training by running up and down the one flight of stairs at my family home. and it got me hooked. I loved it.
Wow. What motivates you to, get started, to keep going and to do it again?
Yeah, I think it's a great question that caused me a bit of pause at first, because running and sport has been such an integral part of my identity for so long. So what I've really realized is it comes down to two parts. First is the lure, so something that brings you in. And so it could just be, wow, this looks like a really cool event. Could be something like, hey, my neighbors or my friends are doing this. But once you get lured in, you need a hook. You need something that really keeps you coming back. And that's really finding your why. So for me, it was my competitive nature. I also find I'm quite curious and can be very obsessive. And so every morning I'll go to the mirror and I'll ask myself, hey, what can I do today? And so tomorrow when I wake up, I can look at myself and be like, hey, I'm fitter, stronger, and better than I was yesterday.
Wow. I love those motivators, right? What's the lure, the hook? Find your why, and you are drawn to climbing for causes. Whether it's the BC Lung Association or the World Wildlife Fund. Can you tell us about your climb coming up?
Yeah, so this is first time it's happening here at BC Place. It's next Sunday, and it's a total of about 3,000 steps up and down the bowl of BC Place. I've never actually done an up and down stair climb before, so it's going to be a bit unique in that sense.
It's not the CN Tower.
It's not the CN Tower, no, but it's equally unique, and I'm really excited to try it. I think it's a opportunity to challenge myself in new ways, and I think it's just a really neat event that anyone can come out and support, and it's very accessible. WWF has made it free entry for the next 750 participants, so it's really a great cause and a great opportunity just to be active.
Sean, what would you say to someone to give them some inspiration?
Ooh, I think you really need to find, like I was saying, your why, and that can be really anything. And so I would really recommend someone to explore their own curiosity with fitness. Fitness does not have to be drudgery. It doesn't have to be hard work. It can be fun. It can be play. It can be just exploration. And so if someone's curious about something or wants to give an event like this a try, I really recommend just keeping an open mind and coming into it with curiosity and fun in mind, and I'm sure you'll really enjoy it.
Yeah, those are great words of advice. Sean, thank you so much. Good luck. And I know you're the record holder, so good luck sticking to your record.
Thanks, Michelle.
Maybe breaking your own record, huh?
We'll see, yeah.
Thank you so much. Great to speak with you.
Yeah, you too.
Sean Stevens-Whale is an elite tower climber. He holds a record for climbing the CN Tower for the World Wildlife Fund. But on May 26th, he's going to do the WWF's Climb for Nature at BC Place. We're asking you what motivates you to stay active and how would you inspire someone to get active? Our number is 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. Irene is calling us in Vancouver. Hi, Irene.
Greetings from Second Beach and Stanley Park Seawall.
Gorgeous. What are you up to on the Second Beach?
Well, I'm actually running, and I'm not running right now because I'm talking to you. I'm walking, but you don't want to hear my heavy breathing.
You're doing pretty well. If you've been running, I don't hear much huffing or puffing.
Oh no, my cardio is one of my strongest strengths in terms of giving me energy. I've been doing it for 42 years.
Wow.
And kept me sane and with it while I worked full time. Actually, yesterday when I was golfing, another woman I was with used to find the same thing. You could do it anywhere at any time.
Yeah.
And it was like mindful moving, and it was just great. Now I'm an active older adult. And I love sharing wellness with others. That's what keeps me motivated and learning and trying new things.
Wow.
And the last few years I've been teaching.
What have you been
Yoga
teaching?
At West End Community Center, yoga for seniors and chair yoga.
Wonderful.
Yep. And the idea about inspiring yourself, I really like the books Tiny Habits and Atomic Habits.
Mm-hmm.
And during COVID, I felt like I lost a lot of my upper body strength. So I made a commitment to myself at least twice a week when I finished teaching to go to the gym at the West End Community Center and start working on my upper body strength. And one of the tips they gave was tap yourself on the back every time you add a little tiny habit to an existing habit.
I like that a lot. Just give yourself a pat on the back.
Yes, and you can build upon what you're doing. And then the other philosophy that I have, which I borrowed from other people, just like you floss your teeth every day, any kind of movement that you can do. As you said, running up the stairs or, walking to the store instead of driving there, going for a walk with a friend versus, sitting down, having a big lunch.
Right.
So all those things, but sharing it with community. I really see it. The strength also comes from being with others, doing and sharing.
Absolutely agree with you. And I'm sure those your students are very lucky to have you over at the West End.
Well, I'm lucky to have them.
Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Enjoy the rest of your run. It's a gorgeous day.
Thank you. right, and have a lovely long weekend.
You have a great one, Irene. Thanks so much for the call. Well, my next guest is here with me in studio, and Kate Lee has found ways to encourage and inspire people of varying abilities to stay active. Kate is the coordinator of All Bodies Community and Fitness Group, and that is a partnership between the Vancouver Park Board and Vancouver Coastal Health. And Kate is here with me at our studio in Vancouver. Hello.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. What do you think listening to Irene?
I'm really excited to hear that Irene is in our community centers and sharing her passion and her gift for teaching others and sharing it on your show today.
Yes, and teaching yoga and chair yoga to seniors. Tell us about this program, All Bodies Community Fitness.
The idea is just to find ways for people to be more active, because it's fantastic to hear all these stories where people are already moving and feeling motivated all the time. But what about the folks who don't feel motivated, don't feel inspired, and don't feel necessarily seen in our recreation spaces? So the idea is that we reach out to those folks any way that we can and help to support how they would like to move.
That's wonderful. How does it work then?
It depends on the person, but quite often I'll get an email from somebody saying, is there a place for me? And we ask what they might like to do and see if we can find a fit within our program, which sometimes we can do. And if not, we look at some of the other programs that we have in our community centers and just help them decide. So giving choice is really important. And starting at an appropriate place for the person based on what they know about themselves, keeping an open mind, and understanding that it's not too late to start. We can build muscle into our 90s, and you may not have felt like an active person before, but it is a skill. We don't need to know it all. Start small.
Start small.
Yep, know yourself, and don't wait to be motivated, because it might not happen.
Yeah.
You might not be motivated. Think about physical activity as just something that we all need to do, and it doesn't need to look like everybody else does it.
That's great. And I'm struck by what you said, for people who don't feel seen when we talk about, fitness or exercise. If someone calls and does seem to feel intimidated, how would you deal with that? How would you lure them to come?
Oftentimes we'll meet with them one-to-one, not necessarily in the fitness setting, because fitness can be very triggering for folks. And what is fitness anyway?
Right.
So really getting to know a person first. We have a knitting group. So if you've never been to a community center before and you want to try to come in a way where you might make friends, meet people, it doesn't have to be that you come into our centers to a gym. You might start with knitting. You might start with cooking. Make friends who might want to do something else with you. We have walking groups. We have walking soccer. Really, it is a matter of meeting somebody. If people meet me and I don't feel like a good fit, I can introduce people to other folks. Really, for me, the sky's the limit if somebody comes in and says that they want to. It could be anything that you might want to try. We will try and figure it out. There's a pilot out there waiting for you, is what I have to say about that.
So it's about, meeting people where they are and finding something that will work for them. Okay. Kate Lee is with me, and the coordinator of All Bodies Community Fitness and Recreation, and that is a partnership between Vancouver Coastal Health and Vancouver Park Board. And there are several programs throughout community centers in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, we're in several community centers, and it depends seasonally what's going on. With Vancouver Coastal Health, the OASIS program, which is the Osteoarthritis Systems Integration Service. So oftentimes people have pain that can prevent them from moving. So you can go to some of the OASIS workshops that can teach you about exercise and arthritis, why it's really important to move even when you have pain, and how to do that so that it's tolerable, manageable, and that again looks different for everyone. But those things really support people being physically active.
Yeah. We have a lot of callers on the line who want to share too. Basil is up next in Port Coquitlam. Hi, Basil.
Hi, thanks. I really appreciated your assistant, the young lady Melody, and she got great person there.
She's one of our producers, yeah.
Yes, thank you. And one quick comment, if I may, from the previous topic. Winning is fun, but fair play and sportsmanship is far more important than winning.
Absolutely. That's
And
yes.
my love and motivation and activity that we love to do is ballroom dancing.
Oh.
You know, foxtrot, waltz, Viennese waltz, jive, quick-step, tango, paso doble, cha-cha-cha,
Oh,
sweet
my
hustle,
goodness.
polka. All these are great dances, and they go fit with beautiful music, and the music you want to play to that is music from the 1950s.
Yes, beautiful.
Every word is as clear as a bell from that time compared to today. You can hardly make out what they're singing about. But anyway.
And was it hard for you to get into ballroom dancing, Basil?
Say that again?
Was it difficult to get into ballroom dancing?
I was in England 15 years of age, and I don't know why. I just wanted to meet young ladies, and so that was a way I thought would be fun to meet them. And
that was your motivation. And you're still doing. When's the next time you're going to go dancing?
I'm hoping very soon. Unfortunately, it seems to be something we're dying off, and young people are not getting into it. And it's a real pity because you can't beat dancing, remembering the steps that fit really well to the beautiful music. And when you've got the steps and the music, and you combine them, and you're fitting it right into the rhythm of the music, it's like being on a cloud, dancing way in the heavens, and it's just so magical. And young people are missing out on that because they're doing their own thing. They're not maybe even holding the hand of the partner, and it's the closeness of the couple.
Yeah.
It's
well,
just.
I hope people pick it up because the way you describe it, it's like dancing on clouds, is beautiful. Thank you so much. Enjoy your next time dancing, okay?
Yeah, indeed I will. Thanks, Michelle.
Take care, Basil.
Thanks.
Jen is up next in Kamloops. Hi, Jen.
Hi, how's it going?
Oh, very well. How are you doing? And what motivates you to stay active?
So, just taking a little bit of a different perspective on this, I have suffered from major depression for years and years, and something came across my feed recently, and it's that the opposite of depression is not happiness, it's vitality. So I can do really small things because I know that, going to the gym is probably going to help my mental health, but it's really hard to do that sometimes. And so just parking at the other end of a parking lot and choosing to do that longer walk.
Nice.
That's a little touch of vitality.
Nice.
Right? And that helps.
That's really great. I love that. Starting small. And that is the win for you for that day. Really great point, Jen. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. We have an email from Indy in White Rock who writes, I've been working out since I was 19. It's always been one of my top priorities. Nothing has ever stopped me, not even when I was raising my two boys. At that time, I would wake up at 5:30 a.m. to go to boot camp. The thing that motivates me is the simple fact that I want to be able to live as long as I possibly can. This means that I need to look after my body in order to keep it as healthy and as strong as possible. Indy, thank you very much for the email from White Rock. It's bctoday@cbc.ca. What do you think of that, Kate? Starting small. If you can't make it to the gym, park on the other side of the parking lot.
I agree 100%. Just standing up changes how you are in your body, or just raising your arms, how you are in your body. Any movement that you can do counts. There's a lot of new research coming in that it doesn't have to be that moderate to vigorous to get those important health benefits, and as Jen was saying, the mental health benefits. So anything you can do to move your body is going to have an impact on you. If you haven't been a mover before, being physically active can be a bit of an acquired taste. So in the same way that if you were wanting to learn a new language, you might try a couple of different ways to be introduced to it. So if you're wanting to learn French, you might have a glass of French wine, you might have a croissant. And so when you're looking at the kind of movements you want to do, you might think, well, what do I like when I'm doing other things? Do I like things to be really intense? Do I like things to be a little more moderate? Do I like to go whole hog, or am I a person that likes to sit back and watch? all of those things can impact how you're going to learn this new skill. And then I would say be willing to make mistakes. So, if you try something, you don't have to do it for the whole hour. Go and try it for 10 minutes. And if it doesn't feel right, you know yourself, it's not right. Try something else. Just be open to developing a taste that, with the right dose, is going to start to make you feel something. Usually you'll sleep better to start with.
There you go.
That's motivation.
Who doesn't like a good night's sleep? Brent is calling us from Vernon now. Hi, Brent. How do you stay active?
Oh, I've been a lifelong swimmer. So I was fortunate to live in West Vancouver before it was a massive place, and my mom used to take me down to the beach there, and I got hooked on swimming. And I did a competitive. One of the beautiful things about living in British Columbia is almost every single community has an indoor pool. And whether I was traveling as an actor and touring, or touring as a musician, or just going from place to place, it was always able. But my insight would be that it's a shift in focus for me. 2 years ago, I broke my leg, and I could not do anything. I was on crutches. I labored to go grocery shopping because you've got crutches, and what do you do? And that gave me a big shift. The learn I got from that was it is a privilege to be able to go swim. It's a privilege to exercise, and that shift gives me the thrill and the joy of actually going. And all the other benefits, of course, like not feeling bad about yourself. And even when the pool is closed and I get there and I'm surprised, I go, well, I went swimming anyway. So,
Brent, I mean, you've added this profound sentiment to it as well, right? You're privileged to be able to do that. Thank you so much for the call from Vernon, and glad
you're
that
very welcome.
Yeah, take care. Glad that you have recovered, Kate. Wow, and I just have in 15 seconds. What's most important to you when it comes to staying active?
Just do something.
Just do
It can
something.
be just raising your arms, standing up, just get out of your chair, stand up to change the channel. 15 seconds, do something.
Yeah.
Do it now.
I'm raising my arms right
That's
now
it.
already.
I'm with you.
I feel great.
There we go.
A good stretch there. So good to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. Thanks so much for having me.
Kate Lee, coordinator of All Bodies Community and Fitness Group. Coming up, a provincial update on the wildfire situation. And we are waiting for an update from BC's Emergency Management Minister, Bowen Ma, coming up just after 1 o'clock, scheduled for 1 o'clock. So we'll wait on that to begin and bring that to you live on our website and on our FAST channel. And you can go to YouTube as well. CBC Vancouver is the page. Thanks so much to everyone who called in and joined our discussion. You can always email bctoday@cbc.ca. Right now, Emergency Management Minister Bowen Ma is giving a live update on the wildfire situation in BC. Let's go live to Victoria.
From the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nations. Today, we will be providing an update on the wildfires in the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality and the Peace River Regional District. I know that this is an incredibly challenging and uncertain time for the nearly 5,000 people who have had to leave their homes, pause their lives. This includes residents of the town of Fort Nelson and Fort Nelson First Nation due to the Parker Lake wildfire, as well as the Doig River First Nation and areas north of Doig River Road in the Peace River Regional District. The province is doing everything in its power to suppress these fires so that you can return home as soon as it is safe to do so. There are currently 125 active wildfires across the province, mostly concentrated in the northeast, including 2 wildfires of note, the Parker Lake wildfire and the Patrick Creek wildfire. The Parker Lake wildfire, which started on May 10th, is approximately 12,300 hectares and located just 1 kilometer west of the town of Fort Nelson. Thankfully, the area has seen some rain in the last 24 to 48 hours, and temperatures have remained low overnight, lowering the risk of spread. Gratefully, our worst fears have not materialized, but I want to be extremely clear. We are not out of the woods. There is not enough rain forecasted to offset the prolonged drought conditions or extinguish the fires naturally. And the May long weekend will be a challenging situation for the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality and the Peace River Regional District. As I've said before, now is the time to make sure your homeowners or tenants' insurance policy is current and that you understand its coverage. Your insurance policy will cover damage caused by fire, including wildfire. It can also cover the cost of accommodation and other living expenses if you are placed under an evacuation order. BC Wildfire Service crews, local fire crews, and fire departments from communities throughout the province are doing everything that they can do to protect homes and the community. Our primary focus is on saving lives and protecting structures. BC Wildfire Service is responding to wildfires near Fort Nelson, including the holdover Patrick Creek wildfire, 20 kilometers north of Fort Nelson. They're doing so with incident management teams, 131 BC Wildfire Service firefighters, 19 rotary wing aircraft and air tankers, 25 pieces of heavy equipment, and 61 structural protection personnel and equipment. We also have structural protection crews responding to the fire north of Doig River. This fire started on May 12th and is currently approximately 650 hectares in size. Additionally, a second incident management team has been deployed to the Prince George Fire Center. This secondary incident management team has been deployed to ensure that the proper resources are being utilized to suppress fires in the more remote regions of the province. Pardon me. My deepest thanks go to our BC Wildfire Service firefighters and local firefighters who are working around the clock and will continue to work long hours through the weekend to battle the fires and to keep communities safe. To those who have evacuated, I know that this is an extremely difficult time, and I want you to know that supports continue to be available if you need them, including accommodation, food, and incidentals. Emergency support services were extended on Tuesday for an additional 7 days. And if you are in need of emergency support services, please head to a reception center in Fort St. John, Dawson Creek, Chetwynd, or Prince George. Commercial accommodation in Fort St. John is limited, and the ESS team is working hard to meet the needs of evacuees. Accommodation is available in the other communities I just mentioned, including over 300 rooms available at Sunset Prairie Lodge, located about 45 minutes from Fort St. John. Additionally, the City of Fort St. John has introduced a process for remote referrals. This means that evacuees can now register or renew supports without visiting the reception center in Fort St. John in person. People who wish to use remote referrals can create an ESS file at ess.gov.bc.ca and sign up and verify their identity on the BC Services Card app. For more information, the remote referral team can be contacted by phoning the Fort St. John Reception Center at 250-794-3310. Again, that number is 250-794-3310. And for all those who have evacuated, if you have any questions or need help navigating the ESS process, Service BC has opened a dedicated phone line to answer questions from evacuees. That phone number is 1-800-387-4258. Again, that number is 1-800-387-4258. I would like to thank the host communities of Fort St. John, Dawson Creek, Chetwynd, and Prince George for stepping up in a big way to help people who have been evacuated from their homes. We have heard stories of residents opening their hearts and homes, sharing their spaces for cultural activities, and donating pet food and other necessities. We are all in this together, and this community spirit means so much to those who have been evacuated. Before I turn it over to questions, I want to briefly talk about the upcoming long weekend. I've been asked before if the province wants tourists to avoid British Columbia due to the current wildfire situation that we are facing in the north. And I want to be very clear. We want people to come here to British Columbia, and we want British Columbians to explore the province. British Columbia is a huge province. We have an incredible coast, stunning mountain ranges, beautiful forests, and vibrant communities. And we have a lot to offer, and we want to share it. All that we are asking is that if you are planning a trip to British Columbia or the backcountry, just know before you go. Be aware of where you are going and the hazards of that area. Right now is not the time to visit the area around Fort Nelson, but like I said, our province is large and there are plenty of other areas to explore. EmergencyInfoBC.ca amplifies all evacuation orders and alerts throughout the province, and the BC Wildfire Service app breaks down detailed information on wildfires. Know where you are going, know what hazards are there, and have a backup plan. If you see smoke off in the distance, please immediately report it by dialing *5555, even if you assume it has already been called in. The more reports the BC Wildfire Service receives, the better. This helps fire crews understand the size of the fire and triangulate its location. The BC Wildfire Service cannot be everywhere all at once, and we rely on British Columbians and tourists to be the eyes and ears of early fire detection. We now have time for questions. Joining us for questions include Cliff Chapman, Director of BC Wildfire Service Wildfire Operations, Ian Cunnings, Acting Executive Director of Provincial and Regional Operations for Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, Daryl Gunn, Executive Director of Northern Region for the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, Haley Davenport, Peace District Manager for the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, and Jeremy Oaten, Deputy Director, Emergency Management with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food.
Thank you, Minister. And to our experts who will be taking questions today. To the media on the line, if you have a question, please come off speakerphone or Bluetooth.
You've been listening to Emergency Management Minister Bowen Ma, and as she said there has been good news when it comes to rain over the last few days or couple of days, but not enough rain in the forecast to extinguish the fires in the Northeast naturally. And the May long weekend will be challenging for the Northern Rockies Regional District Municipality, and anyone traveling can go to other parts of BC, but avoid the area around Fort Nelson. Let's go back now to Victoria.
If any people's properties, infrastructure, anything's been damaged, these two mixed messages.
We are aware of reports of early damage in the first days of the wildfire around Fort Nelson. However, we are not aware of any reports of new structural losses since May 10th, May 11th. Maybe we can get someone to remind me of that date. But there were some early structural losses, but not since then.
Thank you. The additional question is just, have additional RCMP been sent to the area to deal with any type of looting, crime, or other social disorder?
I understand that the RCMP detachment is operating on site now. I do want to note that it is incredibly unfortunate that this kind of looting activity happens during mass evacuations. It is one of the reasons why we insist that everyone does need to follow those evacuation orders, and why people shouldn't, we don't want people to stay behind. These are some of the most trying times of a community, and the last thing that anyone needs to know is that looting might be happening in those communities. It is not just unfortunate. There are stronger words that I can use, but I want to acknowledge that sometimes it does happen. Yes.
Next question comes from Dirk Meisner, Canadian Press.
Hi, thanks, Minister. I've spoke to some people about what it's like up there. One person was saying it's so dry. The guys on the fire, the people on the fire line, the ground seems to be on fire. Can you describe how intense the fight has been up there?
You know, I think I'll pass this on to Cliff Chapman to provide some comment.
Yeah, thank you, Minister, and thank you for the question.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's start. We'll start with the clip.
Who do we have here? She's from a place of abundance. This is our destiny.
My childhood. My mother. I want them back.
Ooh, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Oh, jumped on that one. So that's just one of the many big premieres making a splash at this year's Cannes Film Festival. Movies from Francis Ford Coppola, Canadian filmmakers like David Cronenberg, they're also getting a lot of buzz here. And our pop culture columnist, Rad Simon Pillay, is in the thick of it in Cannes right now. Bonjour or bonsoir, mon ami.
Bonjour, bonsoir, oui, oui. I don't know any more words.
How fun is that? I want to hear about the vibe and some of the highlights so far.
Well, look, the vibe is I'm finally, getting some good weather. It's sunny, it's sparkly, but I still feel like people are still on edge more so than any other year. Because, typically Cannes, it's this place where you get this excitement for international art house cinema, but also this overwhelming patriarchal value system that can be felt, and also these obscene displays of wealth and glittery gowns and expensive yachts. So there's a bit of a tension there between those things. But when I say people feel like they're on edge this year, well, for starters, the state of the world, right? There's a war happening, and you're watching these actors and directors really bending over backwards, dancing around conversations and interviews and press conferences, around that, avoiding that, trying to get around that, right? And also people are on edge because they're wondering why they haven't seen any stone cold masterpieces yet. It's been 4 days into the festival. It's been quite a few disappointments so far.
Okay, well, what about the highlights?
So I say highlights in moderation because I don't know, there hasn't been anything that really blew me away yet. But one of the big highlights, of course, you just played a clip off the top, is Furiosa.
Lifting the order on Fort Nelson. Obviously, we are continuing to operate significantly in and around the community of Fort Nelson, and when it is safe, we will make that recommendation in partnership with the regional district.
Okay. Our next question comes from Yvonne Raymond, CTV News.
Thanks for taking my question. For people who are not in this active wildfire zone heading into the weekend, whether it be support for this region or just precautions in their own community, what is the message to the rest of the province?
The May long weekend is an opportunity for people, individuals and families, groups of friends to enjoy themselves. And we do want tourists to come and visit beautiful British Columbia. We want British Columbians to explore the province, but we need people to also do so in a safe and informed manner. So know before you go. Visit emergencyinfobc.ca for information about where the latest emergencies are occurring in the province. Visit drivebc.ca for information about highway impacts and closures, and visit the BC Wildfire Service app to know where the fires are. Now is not the time to visit Fort Nelson's and the Fort Nelson area. However, the province is a very big place, and we encourage people to travel, to enjoy the May long weekend, and to do so safely.
Yvonne? Okay, thank you. Now moving on to the phones. Our first question comes from Lauren Collins, Black Press Media.
Hi, my first question is, I know there are Category 2 and 3 bans in effect within the last hour. Is there a plan for a campfire ban as a proactive measure?
Over to you, Cliff.
Yeah, thank you for the question. For us, we monitor the conditions every single day, and we use a real data-driven, science-driven approach to when we're going to implement campfire bans for all the reasons that Mr. Ma has spoken about. And as I said earlier this week on the last media availability, we have seen a significant decrease in the number of campfires that lead to wildfires. The people of British Columbia have kind of heard the warnings that they are very familiar with the conditions that we face, and they are being more careful. This point in time, with the rain that we received, we do not need to implement a campfire ban across British Columbia. And we will continue to look at that, and we can implement one as quickly as we need to. But at this point in time, the Category 2 and 3 bans are coming into effect. There was a couple fire centers that just implemented them yesterday. And now almost the entire province has a Category 2 and 3 prohibition on it. And campfire bans will continue to monitor.
Follow up, Lauren.
Yes, going back to the extreme drought, what could that mean for other holdover fires throughout the rest of the province? Could the rest of BC be expected to experience similar to what is going on in the Northeast right now?
Stay with you, Cliff.
Really excellent question. We will, the predominant hectares of burnt fire last year, sorry, I said that weirdly. Most of the hectares that we lost last year because of wildfires were in the Prince George fires. I believe over 2 million of the roughly 2.8 million hectares that were consumed last year. So while there is a risk, and there is always a risk of holdover fires anywhere in the province, the primary risk is in the Prince George Fire Center, and we continue to monitor both the Prince George Fire Center, but also the Caribou Fire Center, the Kamloops Fire Center in the southeast, where we saw some larger fires last year. It is worth noting that it's a different fuel type. So in Prince George Fire Center, it is really that bog type fuel type, and fire can really hold underground, much different than when you're in the Chilcotin or when you're in the southern interior, which is a much sort of, there's less dump layer, and it's much more difficult for fire to hold its heat underground, in particular with snow and rain. So to answer your question very specifically, yes, there could be holdover fires elsewhere in the province. Our primary concern, because of fuel type, continues to be Prince George, but we're actively monitoring really all of our fires from last year for heat signatures.
Our next question comes from Zaya Zhu, Globe and Mail.
Thanks for taking my question. Hope to ask Minister Ma, how does ministry coordinate with ESS and hotel owners to ensure that evacuees aren't forced to leave their hotel rooms when those businesses have to honor their previous bookings?
So ESS, Emergency Support Services, is a provincially funded program. We do partner with local authorities and rely on local authorities to deliver those programs on the ground. We're incredibly grateful for the partnerships that we have from host communities, including Fort St. John, Prince George, Chetwynd, and Dawson Creek, who are currently supporting Fort Nelson evacuees. The relationships that we have with accommodation providers is largely through agreements with those local authorities. It is the case that some hotels that have offered up rooms for the initial 4-day period may not be able to carry on providing those rooms due to pre-existing bookings. But we work with those communities to ensure that when evacuees have to relocate, that they do have space somewhere else available for them. I will note that Prairie, sorry, just fell out of my head here. Sunset Prairie, sometimes the terms fall out of my head. Sunset Prairie Lodge does still have hundreds of rooms available for evacuees. We secured 400 rooms there. We have over 300 rooms still available. It's 45 minutes from Fort St. John. If there is anyone out there from Fort Nelson or the Fort Nelson area, an evacuee who does not have accommodation, please head straight to Sunset Prairie Lodge. We do have EMCR and ESS staff on the ground. They're able to register you and put you up right away.
Follow up.
Yes, thank you. Wondering, as evacuations due to climate disasters becoming increasingly common in BC, what specific attention is being directed towards addressing this types of issues?
I believe the question was, what are we doing in the face of increased climate-driven emergencies? So it is the case that we are seeing increased emergency situations right across the province as a result of climate change. It used to be that emergencies and disasters were something that communities faced once in a while. Now we're seeing it be almost a constant, something that we expect every year, and right across the entire year. It's no longer just the summer. We also have the spring freshet, fall storms. We have ice storms in the winter. We have avalanches, extreme temperatures. It really is demonstrating how climate change impacts people and communities right here in British Columbia today. What it also means is that as a province and as communities and as people, we can no longer simply focus on responding to emergencies when they happen. We also have to be better at preparing for and mitigating the impacts of those emergencies before they happen. And we have to be better, unfortunately, at recovery activities following devastating disasters. And so here in British Columbia, the introduction and the establishment of the Emergency and Disaster Management Act places a greater emphasis on all 4 phases of emergency management. So not just the response stage, that's when we act when a disaster is actively harming a community, but also in the preparation, the mitigation, and recovery phases. It requires a whole of society approach. It's a relatively new thing for the province, and we're working to implement that work and bring partners along as quickly as possible.
That is all the questions we have today. Thank you. And that concludes today's wildfire update.
Thank you.
You have been watching a provincial update on the wildfire situation, particularly in the Peace region, with the Parker Lake and Patry Creek wildfires near Fort Nelson and the Doig River wildfire as well. Emergency Management Minister Bowen Ma saying there, while there has been rain these past couple of days, it is not nearly enough, and we're not out of the woods yet. Now, a second incident management team has been deployed to the Prince George Fire Center. And while commercial accommodation in Fort St. John is limited, the ESS team is working hard. As she says, there are 300 rooms available at Sunset Prairie Lodge, which is near Fort St. John, about 45 minutes from Fort St. John. She also said there that remote referrals are available. So for evacuees, you do not need to visit the reception center in person. You can go to this website, ess.gov.bc.ca. That's ess.gov.bc.ca. You can also call the Fort St. John Reception Center. That is at 250-794-3310. And Service BC now has a dedicated phone line for questions from evacuees, and that is at 1-800-387-4258. And now some notable comments on the upcoming long weekend. The minister there saying they are not saying people shouldn't travel around the province. That she wants people to explore the province, but now is not the time to visit Fort Nelson and the area around Fort Nelson. Know before you go wherever you're headed in the province, and go to emergencyinfo.ca to find out the status where you're going. And you can also report smoke. You're urged to call and dial *5555 to report smoke to the BC Wildfire Service. Also saying that right now there is no need for a campfire ban, but the BC Wildfire Service saying they are watching that closely. So that from the provincial update on the wildfire situation here in BC. That is it for us here on BC Today. My thanks to our team here, Alan Regan, Mariam Gamar, Melody Jacobson, George Baker, Allison Cole, Greg Kisser, Mark Fairfield, Mel Carter, Megan Zwick, and David Jones. I'm Michelle Elliott. Thanks for being with us. Have a good weekend. Stay safe.